understand in some visceral way what was going on in that interrogation room. Okay? Now, I also want to tell you that you don't want to always assume the worst about the other side's witnesses. Let me tell you a short example of that. I'm trying a case where my client's charged with killing a woman who's found in her apartment dead. And no one had seen her for a couple of days. And it mattered when she died, because if she died day one as opposed to day two, I had an alibi for day one. The only alibi I liked, my client was in jail. Right? That's a good alibi. But he got out the next morning, and so if she could have died in the second 24 hours, then I had a problem. Okay? You with me? So I'm looking at the autopsy, and I see that there's skin slippage, and I see a few other things, and I get all excited. This is hard to explain to normal people. And I just pick up the phone, I call Dr. Choi, and I say, Dr. Choi, am I right looking at these pictures? She had to be dead at least, 48 hours, right, because of skin slippage, et cetera, et cetera. And he goes, and he's a very thick Korean accent, he says, oh yes, at least 48 hours, maybe as much as 72 hours. I said, thanks very much, I hang up the phone, I go, oh, no prover. You know what I mean by prover? You never, ever talk to a prosecution witness alone, because they change their stories, or they say you bribed them, with the Big Mac I could have afforded on public defender salary, but, you never, ever talk to a prosecution witness alone, because they might renege on you. It's like, oh, because, of course, the prosecution's going to figure this out, and it's going to become 24 hours, I just know it. So I go to work, and I go and I get, Adelson, Pathology of Homicide, and Werner Spitz's book, and DeMaio's book, and I have all these people, and I'm ready, I'm going to cross-examine with a learned treatise, which is a really cheap way to get an expert. Okay, so I'm ready to go. They put him on the stand. He testifies all about, everything, but doesn't say anything about time of death at all. And I get up there, I'm serious, because I just know these bad things are about to happen, And I put my books and open them up, and I say, Dr. Choi, you would agree with me that this one was dead at least 48 hours, would you not? Ready to impeach him, right? He says, these 48 hours, probably closer to 72. I said, what? He said, you're right. Okay, this is when you sit your ass down. Thank you very much. I go, I close my books, I go and I sit down. The prosecutor gets up, he tries to kind of mush it into some of this. Well, the apartment was warm, and bodies decompose more, when it's warm, and it could have been 24 hours, and you know how they do that, right? You know what I'm talking about? And Dr. Choi looked at him and said, you tried to get me to say that in your office. Oh. It's not my fault. She can read an autopsy report, but you can't. If I could have kissed him in court, I would have. So you don't have to always assume the worst about people. Okay?